Hey, what's up guys? So I'm going to be working on trimming the rear fender on the WJ. One of the first steps is going to be taking this off right here, and then the next step is going to be trimming this down to where I need to, and then there's a little bracket that's behind this that we're going to have to cut down. The next thing that I'm going to do is pretty much take a angle grinder and or Dremel tool, whatever you have to cut, and we're going to just start cutting little pie cuts into the body, just a whole bunch. And the more pie cuts around the corners, the easier it'll fold. And I'm just going to keep cutting all the way through till we get to pretty much about here, and then we'll pound things back. You're going to have to take off your inner fender liners, and it's best if you take off your wheel so that you have more room to work with. And once you get to that point, what the finished product will look like, show you on the other side. I already did it. I did this without taking the wheel off, which made it a little difficult, but I was able to do it. I still need to take the wheel off because if you look right here, this definitely needs to get smashed back a lot better, and then I need to flatten that out as much as possible. And the next thing that I need to do here is I want to get like a body sealer so that I could seal all these little cracks and crevices here. I painted it black just for the meantime to keep it from rusting. My paint did crack around the edges, so kind of just expect that. And then I painted just some black right here to keep the rust from starting. My intentions are to probably sand that down, and if you look, these were painted with a body color match paint, and my dad still has that paint, so I'm probably just going to use that paint to repaint over this black so that you don't see it there. I just wanted to temporarily keep it looking good. But yeah, that's the plan for trimming the fenders. You can see I just made a whole bunch of cuts, made the cuts a lot smaller when we got here, and then a lot smaller when I got here, and then kind of just pounded everything back. It's not perfectly flat. It starts to dip in just a little bit right here, but it's not too bad. And then what I did to decide how far up to go, I took a piece of painter's tape and I kind of just made a straight line that went all the way across right here. And then I just made sure that when I came up with my cutoff wheel that I didn't go to the painter's tape. So yeah, that's the plan. That's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to hopefully set up the camera so that you guys could see what I'm doing and I could walk you through it, how to do it with the wheel attached. And then honestly, I'm going to have to take the wheel off at some point and pound those things in a lot better and then seal it up. Alright, so like I said, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off. Now, it's going to be really hard to get to these screws if you do not take your tire off, but what I found actually works is I just got a bit and then a 1/4 inch wrench, and then I just slide this into place, and then I could just turn the wrench itself to loosen it, as you can see there. And you don't need much leverage to get this done. It's actually pretty easy. The only thing that's a little bit annoying is that it's going to want to slide off from time to time, so you just got to make sure that you are holding on to it. But just a quick easy tip on how to take these off if you're not going to take your tire off. Once they're loose enough, this one up here you could absolutely just take a regular screwdriver and take it off, but once they're loose enough you could kind of just take them off by hand. This trim piece will not be reused, not like I did on the fronts, because it's going to be cut right there, so there's no reason for the trim piece to be around. And see, they're loose enough now that I could just take the screws off by hand. That one's still a little tight. Alright, so if you can't turn them by hand for whatever reason, another thing you could do is just put the bit in there and pull it off. and then just like that, it pops off. The other thing you're going to want to do, if you look back in here, there's dirt back there, and then I would not be surprised if there's, oh, actually there isn't much dirt up here, but come in here and make sure that you take all this dirt out, because it'll make life a lot easier. Next thing I'm going to do is work on taking this fender liner off. I'm just going to take a screwdriver and pop these off, and then pop this off also, and then I'm just going to cut along there to get access to what's behind here. Alright, so now I'm just going to attempt to pop these little guys out. I'm just using a screwdriver. Should be able to get behind them and kind of push them out. If it's too difficult, you could always just pop them off, because you're not going to reuse these anymore. Like basically cut them off, or you could try to just get behind the splash guard itself and just kind of pull these away. But first, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop these ones out. See, those ones come out a little easier. Kind of just push the screwdriver in there, and now they pop off. And then same thing down here. I'm just going to get it in. There we go. And then that pops off. So now the only thing that's really holding it in are these two pieces. I'm just going to attempt to pull it off. You might be able to do it that way, might not. There we go. And I'm not too worried about these, because I'm not going to reuse that. So I'm not even too worried about that being stuck in there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the bumper away. You can see there's a couple more of these little plastic rivets that hold it on, and there's a bracket back there that holds the whole bumper, but I'm going to be cutting all that away anyways. So now that I got the mud guard or splash guard off, next thing I'm going to do is trim this. Alright, to trim this, I'm just going to use the metal shears that I did, or that I used on my front fenders. And I'm just going to come in here and essentially pick the spot where I think it's going to be, which probably right about there, and then I'm going to work my shears until I could get to that spot. And then just start trimming down the bumper. Sorry. And then I'm pretty much just going to keep working my way down. That's pretty much off now. Just got to trim that little portion off. Now you can see this bracket that's in the way, but I also need to bring this up a little higher. Sorry, bad angle there. Just gonna twist that little piece off. Now, this piece right here is gonna have to come off, and there's like a bolt. Let's see if I can show it. There's a little bolt right here that holds this into place. So you could do your best to take that off, but honestly, I'm gonna do the same thing I did on the other side, and I just cut it off with the cutoff wheel. So the next thing to do is go ahead and set up my cutoff wheel, or actually I'm gonna take tape and put the tape along here. Okay, as you can see, I have the tape lined up, and that's pretty much my cut line. I don't want to go above that. And then I'm just going to be using a cutoff wheel, and I'm going to start making cuts. And I'm pretty much going to cut up until the point of where the body line is near the door, and then where that blue tape is. Hopefully I don't block what I'm doing too much, and I'll kind of let you guys see what I'm doing. Right here, there's that bolt that I'm trying to get to. I'm just going to try to cut it see this bolt right here, and that's what I'm trying to cut off. Alright, so I'm gonna have to change my cutoff wheel because it's super small now. But you can see I kind of just use that tape line as a reference of where to cut. And then the tire's kind of in the way here, so that's where things get tricky. And then on this portion, I could feel where the back, where it meets the body line, so I'm actually gonna cut to right about there, all the way down. And then kind of follow a curve that comes and meets up here, but I need to change out my blade now, so I'm going to do that real quick. Alright, so I have the blade changed out now, so I'm going to finish up my cuts. I just realized that the little push button that is on my cutoff wheel broke off. So I don't know if there's a way for me to take off this blade now. So this cutoff wheel might be done. Oh, thank you. Not sure how safe it is to use this thing without that piece on there, so I'm going to go ahead and stop filming, and probably going to have to pick up a new one of these, or I might just use my Dremel tool. But now that you can see that this is cut, I can kind of show you what I'm going to do before I go about and do that. Let me go ahead and grab my hammer. Alright, so I have this big DeWalt 3-pound hammer, and all I'm going to do is go in there and just start smashing the fender in where I cut. And you can see here, this is where like the tire gets in the way. It would be a lot easier if the tire wasn't there. But that's pretty much what I'm just keep doing. Kind of work my way slowly, bending it in. Then I'll get a little more aggressive. Now something that I do, since I don't have much of an angle and I don't want to take my wheel off, is I take a block of wood like this, and I'm pretty much just going to line it up where I'm trying to hit, and just hit the wood instead, and it helps pound that in. Now this hammer has two sides, a flat side and a little curved side. That little curved side helps to kind of just get into these harder to reach areas and really flatten some of this out. Alright, so now you can see the only piece that I haven't done is this piece right here, and that's the part that's honestly the hardest with the tire on. But you can see I kind of just started smashing this up, and it's not the prettiest, but it does the job. And then you can see it's folded up against the wheel well, and then what I'll do is I'll just keep smashing it a little, trying to get it as flat as possible. See, this is all the way there. I might cut this off or maybe make a corner so that it folds in so it's not a sharp edge right there. But I do need to come down here, finish cutting. I'm going to use the cutoff wheel as much as possible, and then whatever I can't get with the cutoff wheel, I'm just going to use my Dremel tool and get into those cuts. You can see where the paint just flakes off. You might be able to sand that or heat it up or something prior to so it doesn't flake as much, but I'm not too worried about it because I'm just going to paint right over the top of it, make it look better. But that's pretty much it, man. That's all you need to do to trim your fenders. Once I get the sealer, I'll continue to show you what to do with the sealer, and this part will probably already be done, and I'll show you guys what to do with the sealer and how to go ahead and kind of paint these. Some people, I saw a video where someone cut the little edge right here. I don't know if you could see how there was an edge here. They cut that edge off. Maybe it's easier to like smash in, but honestly, like, it's probably hard to see. That edge doesn't really bother me too much, and if I really wanted to flatten it out, I could use that rounder portion of the hammer and hit right into this edge portion, and it should flatten it. I could also take the block of wood and kind of angle it there, and it should also flatten it. But that kind of gives you the idea. Next part that you guys will see is me putting the seam sealer on. Alright, so I got this pretty well pounded in as much as I can right now. I still might come do this corner a little bit more right here, but otherwise it's done. Painted the black on there, forgot to film that, but I mean it's not going to stay black anyways. I'm going to be painting it the body color. The next thing that I need to do is try to fill in all these little crevices and cracks right here with a panel. I wanted to use a body panel adhesive, but I couldn't find any of that. I didn't really want to use like a Bondo or anything, so what I did is I picked up this at Home Depot. It's just a silicone, like a black silicone for windows, doors, siding, trim. It's going to be flexible. It wasn't too expensive either, like $7 a bottle. I already started doing it on this side, so pretty much just put it in there and then to try to fill in the cracks as much as possible. You can see it here. Don't expect it to look pretty at all, but the whole idea is to try to not have any room for water, moisture, dirt, or anything to like make its way into or around these cracks. And then I just smoothed it out using a metal spatula essentially. Let's see, where is it? This guy right here, little flexible putty knife. And then I used just some wet naps to kind of clean off any excess, and that's all I did. And then as far as this goes, pretty much just got this thing on there, and then I cut a small tip right about there at an angle. I'll just go ahead and do that now. And then I just go in there and try to fill in all the cracks with it. Sorry, I'll cut it real quick. Alright, I got it cut, and you can see there's just a little hole there. And then the whole idea now is to come in everywhere there is space between the body and where I cut. I'm just gonna start pushing the black silicone in there, as you can see, just like that, trying to fill in any gap that could be there. And it doesn't matter how pretty it looks because you're gonna smooth it out later. And then I go in between each one of these spots that I cut, and I'm trying to just fill in as much as I can to each one of those little crevices, letting it soak into each spot. I'm just going to keep doing that all the way through. The next thing I'm going to do is take the gun and come in from this side and then pretty much try to get behind it. And then once it gets to that point, then I will use the spatula. I'll do that real quick. I'll use this spatula right here to try to clean it up a little, and I kind of just run it up the side, and then I'll come down here and kind of just make that look a little better, a little more uniform instead of just a big glob. But the whole idea is to just keep doing that over and over and over again until the whole entire thing's sealed up, probably from about right here over, just like I did on the other side. I'll show you the other side one more time. So there's the other side one more time. And that's pretty much it. That's all I got to do. That's all I'm gonna do, and then this is done. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. I gave you guys a good step-by-step, hopefully, and this is something you could do for yourself. All right, real quick, I just got this portion done. You can see now how it kind of slides in there, and it's not pretty, and I really don't care what it looks like. Probably gonna take some black paint and just paint over it, and that'll kind of even it up. And if I really wanted to smooth it out, I probably could after it dries up, or even before it dries. But that's the whole idea, is to kind of just get that in there. You can see here, did the same thing, and then it comes up a little bit onto the body, but I'm gonna sand all that stuff off and then repaint this. But that's the whole idea, is to just do that. All right, well, hopefully you guys like it. Hit like and hit subscribe. Thank you.